Hello and welcome to another Spaz Kangaroo tutorial. Today we're going to be continuing on with our Lua tutorial and cleaning up this code a little bit so we repeat ourselves a little bit less, and we're also going to be adding an inventory system. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is get rid of some of the extra stuff that we don't need in our if statements. So I didn't teach you this last time because I felt like there was a lot in that tutorial, but we also have another option for if statements called else and else if. Alright, so an if statement in its full form can consist of if, and then we have a condition. So condition, you don't have to write this down, this is just a demonstration of of a full if statement. Then we have whatever, so print blah. We have an else if, so if other condition, or we could say not condition or whatever. Print other blah. And then finally we have an else, which says else blah. Alright, so an if statement, the if condition is the first condition that it checks. So if this condition is met, it'll print that. An else if says if this condition isn't met, continue on with this condition. And if this condition is met, then print whatever's in here. And then exit out of the if statement. If this condition is met, exit out of the if statement. If this condition is met, then we'll print and then exit out of the if statement. But this one only runs if the first one fails. Finally, the else will just catch whatever these two don't, or if you just have an if else, it'll catch whatever the if doesn't catch, and it will just handle it in that case. So, for example, if this condition isn't met here, we'll print else blah and then exit. The other thing is, you can have as many else ifs in an if statement as you want. And this is cool because we can meet multiple conditions in only one if statement. But the main thing to remember is an if condition has to have an if and an end. It must have those. It can also have an else if, and anything in between. It can have an else if, any number of else ifs, or one else. Right? Because you can't have, because that doesn't make sense. Because if this one ran, it would just catch anything that the initial condition doesn't catch. So it catches everything else. In which case, this one wouldn't get run. So you don't ever have multiple else's. It doesn't work. So using that as a basis, we're just going to get rid of the extra if statements that we don't need. We can use else ifs instead. So if input equals inspect, you're in the cave, there's an exit. Else if input equals exit, then we'll just exit. So now it's just one if statement, which makes things a little bit nicer. So then we'll do the same thing for this. Else if, let's see, and here we can have an else if. Oops. And we can have an else if here. So else ifs can also just have other ifs in them. We can nest things in else ifs. Else if input equals open gate. That. Okay, so one thing to bear in mind when you're doing this is that an else if statement will prevent it from matching two options. So for example, let's say we have a string and we're gonna say wait, no, never mind. We're gonna have a number. We're gonna say 4, right? So x equals 4. If 4 is less than 12, if x is less than 12, then that condition is true, right? So we'll print yes. And we'll say end here. If x is greater than, so 4 is greater than 2, then print yes. So, the cool thing about having multiple if statements, the reason you would have multiple if statements is that they both get run. So, if this condition is met, it'll print yes and then exit out of that block. If this condition is met, it will print yes and then exit out of that block. However, if we use an else if in this statement, it will run this statement, and that condition is true, so then it'll break out of the if statement and continue on. And that's fine if that's something that you want, because if you always want to match 12 and then ignore if it's greater than 2 after that. So this is kind of an odd issue, because if we said 1, it would say yes, but if we said 15, it would say yes, so it could match either. But anyway, it will always match in order and then break out of that statement. So it'll entirely skip the else if. So this is actually useful in many cases, and in some cases you might not want it to. But it generally, you want to use else ifs. You don't want to match both conditions. So that's just why you use them. We can use else's in these statements too, to just print an error message if the person doesn't use input that's valid. So like, you didn't have a valid input. You didn't write a valid command. So we could just put this here, in which case it will just print that out every time you type anything other than inspect or exit. So we'll just add these to all our inputs. If input equals that, if input equals that, and then the other thing is you always put else's at the end of the statement. Okay, so lua main.lua. If we type blah, that is you write a valid command. No, I meant you didn't write a valid command. You didn't write a valid command. You didn't write a valid command, and you didn't write a valid command. Okay. Now if we type gibberish, it says you didn't write a valid command, and or what we could do is we could just have it print a help message, but I'm fine with it the way it is. Okay, so I've showed you a little bit how to clean this up, and we're going to go on with the second part of this tutorial, which will be an inventory system. So an inventory system is kind of like a grocery list, right? Because we have elements in it. So for example, we have on a grocery list bananas and eggs and yogurt. So we can add elements to the list. So say I want to add hamburger meat, so I add hamburger meat, and now that's on my list. And we can remove elements. So say I want to remove the bananas, so I can cross that off. So we can do something similar in Lua. We have this data structure, fancy word for a thing that's just told us data. We have a data structure called a table. So a table is basically a grocery list. So we're going to have an inventory. I'm just going to name it inv, and we just use curly brackets to create it. So we'll say we'll say we have a coin, a sword, and armor, right? So this is kind of like a grocery list. We have a list of things in it, and in Lua you just have to create. You can put anything in here. You can put these, you can put numbers, you can put booleans. But anyway, we just have to make sure to separate them by a comma. You can actually have tables inside tables even. So we could have a subtable. But let's not worry about that for now. We're just going to have flat tables with strings in them. So we're going to have a coin, a sword, and some armor. And we're going to you can add in things to this list. So table.insert, we could add let's see, let's add magic shoes, because why not? And we can remove things from the table, but we have to remove them by an index, because Lua keeps track of things in terms of an index, it keeps track of elements of a table in terms of an index. So the first number has an index value of 1, right, because it's our first element. The second one has an index value of 2, and our last one has an index value of 3. So don't put those numbers there, that'll just screw things up. But that's what it's doing behind the scenes. It's keeping track of everything in terms of numbers. So if we remove something from the table, we're going to say, oops, wait, we have to, when we insert into a table, we have to say the table first. So table.insert inv, and then magic shoes. And we can remove something from the table, so we'll remove our first element, and that's our coin, right? So I'm going to write a loop called a for loop, and we're going to use that to show everything in the table. So for I, comma, v, in pairs, inv, do, end. Okay, I will explain this in a minute, but for now, we're just going to print everything out inside the table because it'll be a little bit easier to explain once we do that. So I, comma, v. We're just going to print I, comma, v. Actually, yeah, we'll do that. So I is the index, v is the value. That's all you have to worry about right now. So when we run this, we have our sword, our armor, and our magic shoes. Because remember, we first inserted the magic shoes, and then we removed the sword. I mean, the coin. So if we didn't run these two, and these are just comments, they're just dashes, the Lua will ignore them. So if we do it without adding or removing stuff from the table, we just have our initial table there. So we're just gonna add and remove things. So let's tackle this for loop here. So the for loop, what it's doing is it's saying for every index, comma, value. So for every number that a value is related to in our inventory, in our pairs of inventory, we'll print I, comma, we'll print the index and we'll print the value. So this magic pairs is a function in Lua that will say how many, like, it'll give us in every element in the table, and it will give us the key to it and then the value of it. So in this case, the key is a number. So that's why when we print this out, we have this column of numbers here, because that's the key, that's the index. So instead, we're just going to print out the value this time because we don't really care about the index. I mean, a person playing our game wouldn't really care. So we have welcome to the game, shoes, armor, sword, armor, and magic shoes. So we can add things, remove things, and we're gonna actually do this in our game now. So let's just copy this and add it, everything but the inventory. Leave the inventory back there because this is where we initially define it, and that's what we're gonna have at the start of the game. So then else if input equals inv, then we're just gonna print out our inventory, right? So this is what we do to print out our inventory. We have this little for loop here. So we're just going to copy and paste this to all of our rooms. This may seem a little mundane, and that's because it is. The whole repeating code thing isn't what's supposed to happen, but I'm only going to cover so much in a tutorial. We'll clean this up a little bit more next time, and by the end we'll end up having just like one chunk of code where that's customizable, and we can use to simplify this whole project, and we should be able to get it down to only like 50 lines of code. Right now it's close to 100, but we'll be able to get back down to 50, so it's more manageable. When you're writing code, you don't want to write lots of code. That's bad, right? Unless it's just for readability. When you write code, you don't want to repeat yourself, and you want to make code easy. It needs to be simple and easy to understand. So for now, we're just going to leave things like this, though, even though it's a little bit bad. you'll see why next time. So Lua, main.lua, what do we want to do? Inv, so now we can see our inventory. What do you want to do? We'll look around, I forget what all our options are. Inspect, is that one? Yep, leave cave, and exit cave. Is that it? Forgot how this game works. What is it? Exit, it's just exit. So exit, and our inventory stays the same no matter what room we're in, which is cool because we defined it outside. We defined it outside of our initial room. So we continue to maintain our inventory throughout the entire game. So let's say in the follow path, if you follow the path and then a troll appears. So you follow the path, and then a troll appears wielding an axe. Wait, that's wrong. I before E. Wielding an axe. A troll appears wielding an axe. Print. What do you want to do? And we're gonna have a little bit here where we can we're gonna get input again. And let's see, we're just gonna name it something different so it doesn't conflict with this guy. What do you want to do? We're gonna read this, and we can either run or attack it. So if the person chooses to attack, they'll win, right? You smack it with your sword and it falls dead. Okay. Else if t input equals run, we'll run away, actually. Run away. Then print, you cowardly, turn your back. You're back to flee, but it smacks you and steals your coin, right? Okay, that's a lot just to get us to lose a coin. So inventory dot table dot remove inventory, and we're going to remove whatever element our coin is, and our coin is the first element. Print okay, and else we'll just say print you stand there as it stabs you. You stand there, it stabs you, you die. Game over. End. Okay, so now we have this custom area here where we can attack it, and if we run away it will steal our coin, in which case our inventory will then be changed. So let's see. Oh wait, also we have to exit the game. Here's another function that Lua has. You can say exit and it will quit the program. So if we lose, we should have to exit. Okay, so if it stabs us, we want to die, in which case the game quits. So to quit, we're going to use a function that Lua has built in called os.exit. Just type that, and we will be able to exit our game from there. So instead of continuing on with the rest of the execution of the program, we'll just completely quit right there, and the game ends. So let's play this. So we can exit the room. Where are we? Examine, look, inspect. That's why. There's a cave behind you. Okay, follow the path. a troll appears wielding an axe, and then here's our custom area right here. So what do you want to do? If we run away, we're gonna run away, and we're gonna look at our inventory. So it steals our coin. We're gonna look at our inventory now, and now we're missing the coin. So let's just say, let's see, if we attack the troll. Well, actually, we'll do both. What do you want to do? Exit, follow path. A troll appears, and if we type gibberish, you stand there, it stabs you, you die, game over, and our program quits. Let's just show off our last option. Here's our inventory before. What do you want to do? Exit, follow the path, attack it, you smack him with your sword, and he falls dead. And if we look at our inventory now, we still have our coin. So this grocery shop list type thing that our Lua tables allow us to pick certain elements in our list and remove them. We can also add them. So let's say, our have key. Well, actually, I'm just going to leave this how it is. We're just going to have an extra thing for now, because to do that, we'd have to rewrite some code that I don't really want to rewrite right now, because it's going to require a little bit of extra stuff to make it work. But we're just going to have, let's see. When we inspect, we're going to... Oh, by the way, here's this thing. This thing we don't have to check that it's true. We can just say else, because this we don't. The only other option for have key is to be true. So that's just a way to get rid of a little bit more code. Okay. So if we don't have the key, let's say there's a else if input equals pick up magic. This will just be a hidden thing that we can have. We'll say that. Whoops, we need our then, of course. Print you obtain magic. And this is completely and utterly unfair. I'm sorry. Insert, and we will insert magic. No, we will insert into our inventory magic. Right? So now, once we do this, we can go to our final room, and once we can pick up magic, and when we look at our inventory, we'll have magic. So Lua, main.lua, exit, follow path. What do you want to do? Run away, attack. We'll attack it, and smack him with your sword. So then we're going to inspect. There's a path behind you. Oh, we have to pick up the key. Well, let's first pick up the magic. Pick up magic. You obtain magic, and now our inventory has magic in it. And now we can just quit our game here. So that just shows you how our tables work. So in a more practical case, let's just write a to-do list program, because I think, how long have I been recording now? I don't know how long I've been recording. If this is too long, I'll just cut to the end, or put this in a separate video or something. But let's just make a quick to-do list, because it's another fun way to practice our skills. So we'll have a list, right? So we have our empty table here. We can say Lua. Okay, so we can say print your list, and then we're gonna say for I, v in pairs list do end, and we're gonna print our value, right? And let's see, we're gonna actually have a while loop here. So while input equals this, while input does not equal exit, we will continue looping. So we're going to just print the list at the beginning of each loop, right? And then we're going to say input equals io.read, and we're actually going to print the index, so we can choose to remove by index. So if input equals add, we're going to print what do you want to add, can't type, and we're gonna say our new item equals io.read, and we're gonna table.insert list item. Okay, and then for now we'll just be able to add elements. So Lua to-do list, your list, it doesn't have anything right now, so add, we're gonna add take out garbage, and now when we say enter again, it says our first element is to take out the garbage, right? Oh wait, we're gonna put the input after we print the list. Okay, so now we'll add the option to remove an element. So if input equals remove, what do you want to remove? Remove by index, and then table.remove item, and then this will cause an error, and I'll show you how to fix that. So Lua to-do list.lua, your list, we don't have anything, add, what do you want to add? Stuff, and then our list now contains stuff. See? So we're going to add another thing, we're going to add more stuff. We have more stuff now. What? Okay, why does that say 1? That's weird. Oh, Ivy, not 1. Sorry about that. That was wrong. You're supposed to put I there. I'm not sure why I put 1. Okay. So, oh my gosh. Okay. Print the list. Get the input. We're actually just going to print command. So we know that the user knows that they can type now. Oh wait, and we didn't even test that our thing worked. Okay, so your list, we don't have anything on it. We're gonna add. What do we want to add? Stuff. We're gonna add more stuff. So now we have 1, 2. Add even more stuff, and we have 3 elements. So now we can remove. And what do you want to remove? By index, we're gonna remove 2, and now we have stuff and even more stuff, and it's shifted everything down to work with that. Now, this is cool. This could actually end up being a useful app later on, but right now it only runs. It only has the list in memory. So when we go back to it again, our list doesn't exist anymore. We don't write it to a file or anything. So I can cover that next time, maybe depending on what I decide to do. I think I'll cover functions first, though. So functions are actually pretty cool. They're ways of building out of making modular sections that we can then like sections of code that we can then rerun without having to rewrite the code over and over and over again. Okay, so I think this has actually turned out pretty well. I'll add this code up on GitHub. Once again, the link will be below. And let me know what you thought. If you run into any issues again, I'll be happy to help out or cover it in this video, in the next video that we do. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next one. And we will see you all later.